of explaining the Sheish Mitzvos Tmidios, and what we're doing is we're looking at each mitzvah with an eye towards to see how I can use this mitzvah to be as successful as I can be in my own life. With that, we're going to look at the third mitzvah, which is the mitzvah of Yichudo, Yichud Hashem, the oneness or unity of God. Now, it sounds like we've been repeating ourselves. The first mitzvah is Leidol Haman Sheshem Lakato. There's a God. Which God? Kadosh Baruch Hu, monotheistic God. That's one. The second mitzvah was Angel Oso. There's no power outside of Kadosh Baruch Hu. There's one again. And now we're up to again Yichud Hashem. So again, we're not giving you the be-all and end-all of any of these mitzvahs. All we're going to do is look for an insight that we can nosh on and use right away so that we can draw down reward right away from each of the mitzvahs. You know, we live in a society where there's something that's very, very big that exists all around us, and I call it the fudge factor. When you lie to someone, you're trying to fool them. But when you use the fudge factor, you're fooling yourself. Very often we make excuses in life that are excuses for other people, but primarily excuses for ourselves. Very often in life, when we are obligated to perform something and we don't perform, we blame it on other things. Imagine, you hire someone to work in your business and you tell 95% of your job performance is based upon whether or not you show up on time. He says, great, no problem, understood. The first day he's there at 8:45. He's supposed to come at 9 o'clock, he comes at 8:45. That's what you like. You say, terrific, you give him a pat on the back. The next day shows up at 9:05. You say, what happened? He says, well, it never happened again. I got to tell you the truth. The train was late. I left earlier today than I left yesterday. And guess what? There was a delay in the train. There's nothing I could do about it. So he's telling me, listen, 95% of the job performance, depends upon you coming on time. Tomorrow, you really better be on time. Tomorrow, he walks in at 9:45. You say, what happened? He says, my dog ran off with my shoes. I can't come in barefoot. I had to wait till the shoe store opened up, so I should be able to wear shoes and come and look like a decent human being. Say, listen, pal, you got the greatest excuse in the world, but tomorrow you got to be on time. Tomorrow he shows up at 10:30. You say, what happened? He says, I got into a fight with my wife. Before you know it, my mother-in-law came over to the house and she wouldn't let me out of the house. What was I supposed to do? You tell him, you're a great guy, fantastic excuses, you're fired. Otherwise, he's going to bleed the company dry. If 95% of his job depends upon that, you're not doing him any favor by maintaining him. In our own lives, we tend to make excuses. We tend to make excuses all the time. In fact, rules will apply differently at different times of the year. How do we dress in the winter? And how might we dress in the summer? What is acceptable entertainment for ourselves when we're at home with our families? And what is acceptable entertainment when we go out on vacation? What is acceptable in terms of morality and money when it comes to borrowing 25 cents from another yid? And then what happens come April 15th? There's one HaKadosh Baruch Hu in all time zones, in all seasons, and at every point in the year. And therefore we have to recognize, what is my bottom line of Avodas Hashem? What is it that I'm going to never ever transgress? Make your rules and stick to it. You could do the same in your business. What's your work ethic like? And stick to that bottom line in your work ethic. Whatever you're going to do, what are my relationships like? Beyond which point I'm not going to allow this relationship to degenerate. Like, what's going to get my attention? Every one of us, we have to have clear lines marked in the sand that we never ever cross. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the same in all times and all seasons. Figure out what is the Ritzayin Hashem and stick to it. If we don't do that, we can run very far afield of what we really, really want in life. I want to tell you about the Germans during World War II. During World War II, the Germans had a very strict series of human rights laws in their books. It said you could not perform any kind of genocide on anybody. Certainly the freedoms that they had enacted certainly included that. And yet, they killed 6 million men, women, and children who were Jewish for no other reason than they were Jewish. And in the process did not violate a single one of their laws. Do you know how they did that? Because they passed another law that said that Jews were subhuman, and therefore, there was no problem. Do you see how far afield we can run when we play the fudge factor? It's incredibly important to recognize, what is your morality? What are your standards? What does HaKadosh Baruch Hu want? And recognize HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't take vacations, doesn't live in a particular zip code, and doesn't act one way this time of year and another way another time of the year. Yichud Hashem, the oneness or unity of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Same rules apply all the time.